Welcome to the Emily Otto Show, business and lifestyle mentorship for rebel healers, priestesses, witches, and wild women. This podcast will give you the tools and inspiration to help you build and scale your online and in-person healing business so you can help more people and make more money. My goal is for you to thoroughly enjoy your life and business with plenty of time for pleasure and play. I am over the moon delighted that you're here. Let's start today's episode. Welcome to another episode of the Emily Otto Show. And instead of doing introductions, we're just going to jump right into the conversation we were having, which is the golden thread of our work in the world. So tell me more.
Yeah. So I'm Katie Sutherland, and I am a multi-faceted healer and teacher and
Leader.
Yes, exactly. And facilitator. And I've been recently reflecting on my work in the world and what is the golden thread? What is the theme that I can see that is the holographic fractal theme of everything that I do. And what I've hit on lately is that I midwife people through change. So whether that's supporting a woman becoming a mama and doing body work with her while she's pregnant, or supporting a client who's just lost her husband, or supporting a coaching client through a big work change or a move. The theme is change, and I seem to be the one that gets called forth to support that change, from the preparation to the initiatory experience of the change, the rite of passage that they're going through, to then the other side, the integration. Really, I just let go of all this stuff to go through this portal, and now I'm on the other side of it. How do I keep the changes I want, and how do I grieve and make peace with what I've let go of? So I think that's the golden thread of my work.
I love that. And I love how it's the thread that we're weaving with instead of what's your niche?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
That can get so dry and frustrating. And I really think it's because it's this masculine marketing language on a woman's work and world, which doesn't mesh.
Well, and people want a simple system and structure, which is great. It's just when you're a very creative, rebellious, non-traditional healer person, it is very difficult. And it honestly, every time I try to niche down, I get bored.
Yeah.
Or I get uninspired or whatnot. So I need to have many balls in the air. But if I look at the thread, it's that I'm doing that support work, that midwifery, spiritual midwifery, really, lifestyle midwifery.
Right. 'Cause it's still specific.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really cool. And it actually leads to the podcast that you're in the process of creating and launching.
Yes.
Tell us a bit more about that and how you came up with this concept and how it's going.
Yeah. So another thread of many things that I've studied and done over the years is ceremony, rites of passage, and initiatory journeys. So that can be everything from doing a women's circle for a period of time for a specific purpose, to going to transformative festivals like Burning Man and Symbiosis, to the actual rites of passage that most humans go through, like birth, death, moving, relationship ending, relationships beginning, new jobs, those things. And so kind of zooming out on that theme, I feel that there's not a lot of conversation right now about the potency and the importance of honoring these rites of passage and honoring these initiatory experiences. And really, when you're in an initiatory experience, you need to call more on your own strengths and resources, as well as because it requires something of you. When you're going through an initiation, it is challenging. There is a trial. There is something that is uncomfortable, or, in traditional cultures, they do ceremonies that were like life or death, like go out in the woods for 3 days and we'll hope you come back.
Right.
Or fire walking, or, all these different things. And when you're in the initiatory process, you also have to reach out to your community to reflect back your strengths and to support you through this change so that they can hold you. And I feel like an antidote to our modern, disconnected, go, fast-paced culture are honoring these sacred portals. Taking the time to really acknowledge that, oh, I'm in a big change right now, and I need support from my community, and I need to figure out what I'm letting go of in order to step into the new. And so from all of that I do in my work, and noticing there's not a lot of conversation except with like me and 10 friends.
Totally.
That this conversation, and I started mentioning it to people, like, what if I did a podcast about initiation and rites of passage? And everyone's like, yes, that would be so awesome. And I'm really excited, like bringing in so many stories of the known rites of passage that we all know: birth, death, marriage, for women, first bleed, menopause, those known things. But then also like zooming out to like, what are these initiatory experiences that don't fit in these neat little boxes? And what are those stories? And how can these stories be medicine for us to really bring more awareness, more consciousness to these opportunities to grow and to change and to become more of the truth of who we are, versus just kind of like going through the motions and, whoa, that was hard. And then just like, everyone has this thing when you become a mother, like people will say, I just want my body back. I hear that all the time from new moms when they come in for postpartum massage. I just want my body back. Will this get me my body back? And I'm like, there is no back.
There's no going back.
There's no going
return.
Back. You have walked through a portal. But I think our culture is so bad at acknowledging the portal.
Wow. Bad at acknowledging it because people and systems are profiting off the back.
Yes, right. And selling you that you can go back. And there is no back. There's only
no return.
There's no return. And it's a beautiful change, and it's a beautiful process. But in the becoming of the new, it's very confusing. It's super challenging. It can be depressing. It can be downright soul annihilating.
When we're judging everything by like the body or, bouncing back, like what?
Yeah.
Why is this the goal, to return to the former state of being, but with a baby? Like, it changes everything
around motherhood. Yeah, that is a particularly mind messing paradigm. It's also common with like chronic illness or acute illness.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
the healing is like, the goal is to go back.
Right. To return to who you used to be. It even comes up, with getting back your energy, or returning to, a way your body used to work.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is not honoring the grief of where we've been or where we are now.
This is the main thing that our culture is so bad at, is the grief.
Bad. Yeah.
No one wants to acknowledge grief or rage. and then it squirts out in all these weird ways. Like my husband and I always talk about that weird stress ball with the eyeballs that pop out and the nose and the mouth.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like that's what's happening with the suppressed grief and rage.
Totally.
Is like life is squeezing on you and it's shooting out in all these weird directions.
Oh my God. It's like grief, rage, stress ball for the collective. Terrible.
No, it is terrible. And it's actually the other thing that, this conversation sounds like heavy and big and, like, oh my God, like if you're listening and you're like, oh, I have this intense like rite of passage I am going through. Actually, once you get down to the work of it, it's really easy. And well, I shouldn't say easy. It's a simple process. It's not as like, oh my God, I'm going to die if I do that. It's actually like once you face it and say it and acknowledge it and honor it, it moves. It wants to move. It wants to move out of your system. It wants to be acknowledged.
The acknowledgement. And this makes me, I can see the overlap for the style of body work you do.
Yeah.
Hands-on body work of healing, helping people heal their bodies, right? Of it wants to be seen, felt, heard, and then it can move.
Yeah.
If you're not giving it attention and you're stuffing it down, it actually makes everything worse and much harder.
Yes. Yeah. And I will also say, because I'm somebody who's very trauma informed and work with a lot of people with traumatic histories and PTSD and CPTSD, there is a foundational level of safety and calm and security that you do need to have, like that grounded foundation to kind of pick apart these other things. That is like the very first step before anything else can happen on the healing path, on like acknowledging all this and whatnot, because without that safety, it can keep like blowing you out or causing other sort of like re-traumatizing effects in your system.
I love that you made a point of talking about that. I think that's also why it's so important we don't do it alone.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not we have each other for a reason.
Yeah, we're interrelated, interdependent. None of us would be here without at least one other person. I know we celebrate the lone hero in this culture, but it's a lie.
It's a lie. And again, it's a profitable lie, because if we're all individuals and we're all suffering individually, then we buy things or we find ways to fill the void that people literally make profit off of.
Yeah. And I think that lone wolf isolating, I think that's a lot to do with the mental health crisis that is flared up right now.
I was at the pharmacy to fill one of many frickin' antibiotics my family has been on in the last few weeks. And the pharmacist had mentioned, I don't know how it came up, but she mentioned that the biggest prescription they fill is antidepressants.
Yeah.
And that hurts, because to me, I don't know if that's a collective thing we're working on. Then that's not an individual brain chemistry problem. That's a lot of people experiencing symptoms because of the times we're in.
Yes. And I think, the pause that we had during COVID really caused people to take pause, to take notice and like reflect on like, what am I doing?
What am I doing? What is this?
What is this? And is this important to me or not? And there are folks out there with, real serious mental health issues. And I'm not diminishing those by any circumstances. And I have those folks in my family, and I know those people very well, some of my nearest and dearest. But I do think the rise and the talking about it more in the zeitgeist is a direct directly related to the pandemic and just the times that it separated people a lot, but then it also slowed people down. And now people are like, wait, oh, we can go back. It's going back.
It's the going back, right?
See the thread. The thread comes back.
Yeah.
It's the thinking that we can go back, and there is no going back. We're in a totally new time, and it's very confusing and disorienting. And I think people are realizing like, wow, I'm really not equipped to handle this.
Oh, right.
Mentally
Like,
and
set up that
emotionally.
way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do, I'm blessed to have a community experiment happening here with yaks
Mm-hmm.
and chickens and a community farm. And remembering that the loss of the village and grieving that of local community where you could just step out your door and there were other like-minded humans like you, or whether it's for childcare or mental health support, or just simply not having all of us individually clean our houses every day. Like the
Yeah.
tiny things.
No, I know. And when you're in the throes of parenting, I was reading an article where it's like all the breaking down of a lot of the bigger systems and dysfunction in our bigger systems is all trickling down to the mothering experience right now. And, it's like our government systems and financial systems don't support mothers super well. It's like you have it's like medical bills for the pregnancy, no childcare, but you need to go back to work. You're working, so you can't build community to be your village. Like it's this just whole cycle of like, wow, our current times really do not support mothers and families. And, I think there's a lot of people just like in the like questioning, like, well, now what? Like, I want the village, and how do I get it? You cannot. Also, I want to say to anyone who's listening, who's a mom and feels like they want the village and they don't have the village, you cannot village as a village of one or two parents. So please take things off your plate. Please do not like pressure yourself to like do every conscious parenting technique and every perfect healthy thing.
Read
and
all the books.
Every natural fiber clothing and sign language and all the things that and elimination communication and all the things that like you can just get so, caught up in with like that a village really would have done all these things and supported our children and supported us as mothers in a way that like it's just not happening now in a lot of ways. Even, a lot of people don't live super close to multi-generations. And
oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just asking all the moms.
No self-blame.
Take the pressure off yourself for not being able to village. Like we're learning, we're figuring it out, but like, it's like baby steps and it's give and take.
Only steps are baby steps. And thinking of it as a multi-generational solution.
Yes.
That was a big part of the Orphan Wisdom School and community building was, look, even if we succeed in having a group of humans work together on a farm or for something or a collective, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be messy. It's going to be hard. Yeah. People will have different ways they want it ran. Things aren't set up for collective ownership of property. Mm-hmm. So the hope is that maybe 5-10 generations from now, things are molded in a better way.
Yeah. And because of some of the like failed commune experiments here in Oregon, like you're not allowed to do communes. You're not allowed to own communal property.
Yeah.
So there's actual structures
that
are preventing that kind of like experiment to even happen,
And this is part of why I think having an online component to business is so important.
Yes.
There's this podcast. There's your podcast. What's the title of your podcast again?
The official title, yes, I don't think I said that, was the Initiation Podcast.
Yeah. And then I have the Rebel Facebook group and then group sisterhood programs. And you some sisterhood programs coming along as well, right?
Yes, I do have one that is, I would say, in its gestating incubation phase that I will be launching full tilt boogie in the fall. But I'll be dripping out some fun freebies this summer, and
Awesome.
it's going to be called Healer's Coven. And it's a space for anyone who identifies as a healer, whether you do that work as your paid gig or not. But it's a place for healers to really come and do daily, simple micro practices to refill your cup. Because we are the people supporting the people having the mental health issues. We are the people doing the work to break these intergenerational ancestral patterns. We are the ones making the change that we want to see happen in the world. And we need to be strong and resilient as AF.
Oh, yeah. This has an explicit warning on the podcast. So
good. Oh, well, okay. Then we need to be resilient as fuck. And that means you need to up your self-care. You need to up your energy game. You need to up your ritual practices. And it's not to put pressure. These are like simple 5-minute or less things that make huge differences. And they're basically what I've developed over the last 10 years of study in energy medicine and feminine wisdom schools. And a lot of people don't know all these things. So I just want to share them as widely as possible. And the intention with Healer's Coven is to also eventually have sharing circles where we can all come together and really, just share what's up for us and get support and be seen by others who are doing the healing work in this world.
The world.
So that's
that.
Yes. Yeah. So you can sign up for my email list to get notices about that. The podcast will probably be coming out sometime in August. Yeah. And I have lots of space for one-to-ones right now. So if anyone's wanting personal, more individual support, I am open to that this summer. You can just email me or go to the one-to-one page on my website. And
what's your website?
My website is my name, katiesutherland.com.
Awesome.
Very easy.
So in the development of being resourced as a woman, as a mom, as a healer, it can feel clunky to receive support.
Yes.
We're taught we should do it all on our own.
Yes.
But receiving the support is the best, most game-changing, life-altering thing possible. Whether that's one-on-one coaching and support or these sisterhood circles we're talking about, you don't have to do all of this alone. That's a big fat lie.
Yeah. And for me at this point, after doing work for about 20 years and a lot of individual work, I think the power in coming together, particularly after the pandemic, like being with others to heal is like, that's where the rubber hits the road. That's where the real magic happens.
I love that.
Yeah. And there's a place for individual support, of course. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love how deep this conversation was. Thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Yes, this was amazing. Thank you for having me.
That's it for today. Share this episode with other rebel healers so they too can make more money, help more people, and fall wildly in love with their life. Join my free Facebook group at The Rebel. Leave us a review and subscribe for next week's episode. XOXO.